Some people say you never really know someone, that people can hide parts of themselves, that everyone has secrets. I used to think that was dramatic, like something from a movie, something that didn't happen in real life. Until I found out my ex-boyfriend lied about his entire childhood. Until I discovered that every tear he cried in my arms was based on a story that never happened. Until I realized the person I thought I knew never actually existed. My name is Emma, and I'm 17 years old. This is the story of how I discovered my ex-boyfriend's entire life was a lie, and how that discovery made me question everything I thought I knew about trust, love, and people in general. Let me start at the beginning, because to understand why this hit me so hard, you need to know what came before. I met Jake when I was 16. He was 18, a senior when I was a junior. He was cute, funny, charming, the kind of guy who could make you feel like the only person in the room when he looked at you. We started dating in January. Everything was good at first. He was sweet, attentive, romantic. He'd pick me up for school, walk me to class, text me constantly. But then things started to change. It started small. He'd get annoyed if I didn't text back right away. He'd ask who I was with, what I was doing, why I didn't tell him I was going somewhere. Then came the drinking. Jake drank. A lot. At first, it was just at parties. Everyone drinks at parties, right? But then it became weekends. Then weeknights. Then basically whenever he could. And when he drank, he got angry. Not just annoyed or grumpy. Angry. Like scary, angry. He'd yell at me over nothing. He'd punch walls. He'd get in my face and scream. I should have left then. I know that now. But I didn't. Because when he was sober, he'd cry. He'd apologize. He'd tell me he was sorry. That he didn't mean it. That he'd change. And he'd tell me why he was the way he was. Jake told me his dad was abusive. That? His dad beat him and his mom when he was growing up. That his dad was a cheater who lived with his mistress while still being married to his mom. He'd cry in my arms while telling me these stories. Real tears. Real emotion. He'd shake and his voice would crack and I'd hold him and tell him it was okay. I believed every word. Why wouldn't I? Who lies about something like that? Jake said the drinking helped him cope. That he couldn't deal with the memories of his dad hitting him. That he saw his dad's face when he got angry and it scared him. I felt so bad for him. I thought if I just loved him enough, if I just stayed and supported him, he'd get better. But he didn't get better. He got worse. By summer, things were really bad. Jake was drinking almost every day. The anger was constant. And I was walking on eggshells all the time, never knowing what would set him off. Then came July. And the shroom conversation? We were hanging out at his place one afternoon. Jake was in a good mood, which was rare by that point. He turned to me and asked if I wanted to do shrooms with him. I immediately said no. Jake looked confused. Why not? It's fun. I've done them before. I just don't want to. I said, come on, it'll be fine. We can do them together. No, Jake, I don't want to. He kept pushing, asking why, telling me it was safe, saying I'd like it. Finally, I told him why. 2 years ago, when I was 15, I had a friend. I'll call him Douche because that's what he turned out to be. Douche and I were pretty close. We hung out a lot. He had a really messed up past. His dad died when he was young, and it really messed him up mentally. One night we were hanging out at a party. I was drunk. Douche came up to me looking really intense and weird. You need to take these, he said, holding out shrooms. I laughed. No way, dude. I'm good. But Douche didn't laugh. He grabbed my arm hard. My father told me you have to take these, he said. His eyes were wild, crazy looking. Your dad is dead, I said, trying to pull away. He talks to me. He told me you're the devil. He said if you don't take these, you're going to destroy the world. I thought he was joking. It sounded insane, so I laughed it off. But Douche wasn't joking. He grabbed me, forced the shrooms into my mouth, and held his hand over my face so I couldn't spit them out. I tried to fight him off, but he was bigger and stronger than me. I had to swallow them. That night was one of the worst of my life. The trip was horrible. I was terrified the whole time. And the fact that I'd been forced, that I had no choice, made it so much worse. It messed me up. For months, I had nightmares. I couldn't trust people. I was scared all the time. When I told Jake this story, I started crying. It was hard to talk about. I'd only told a few people, and it felt vulnerable to share it with him. Jake's face got really serious as I talked. When I finished, he was quiet for a minute. Then he said, "I know douche." My stomach dropped. "What?" "Yeah, I know him. We went to middle school together." "Are you serious?" "Yeah. And I'm going to kill him for what he did to you." "Jake, no. It was 2 years ago. I just want to forget about it." "No, nobody does that to my girlfriend. I'm going to find him and beat the shit out of him." I tried to calm him down, but he was getting worked up. His face was red, his fists were clenched. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "If you ever fuck me over, I'll make you pay." I stared at him. "What? I don't play about that kind of stuff. My sister got raped. My uncle was so pissed about it. I don't play when it comes to that." He said it so casually, like it was a normal thing to say to your girlfriend. I didn't know what to say. Part of me was scared, but another part of me felt bad for him. His sister had been raped. His dad was abusive. He'd been through so much. Maybe that's why he was the way he was. Maybe the drinking, the anger, all of it was because of his trauma. So I stayed, even though he'd just threatened me, even though I was scared. I stayed because I thought I understood him. I thought I could help him. But things kept getting worse. The drinking got heavier. The anger got scarier. Jake would get drunk and scream at me for hours. About nothing. About everything. He'd tell me I was worthless, that nobody else would want me, that I should be grateful he put up with me. When he was sober, he'd cry and apologize. He'd tell me about his dad again, about the abuse, about how it messed him up. "I'm sorry," he'd say, tears running down his face. "I can't help it. When I get angry, I see my dad. I become him. I hate myself for it." And I'd forgive him, because I felt bad for him, because I thought his behavior was because of his trauma. I remember one specific night in August. We were at his house. His mom was working late like always. Jake had been drinking since the afternoon. I said something. I don't even remember what. Something completely innocent. Maybe I mentioned a guy from school or said I was tired or something normal. But Jake exploded. "What the fuck is that supposed to mean?" he yelled. "Nothing, You think you're so much better than me, don't you?" "Jake, I didn't say that." "You don't have to say it. I can see it in your face. You judge me. You look down on me." "That's not true. I don't." My dad used to look at me like that, like I was nothing, like I was trash. And then he started crying. Big, sobbing tears. He sank down onto the couch and put his head in his hands. "I'm sorry," he said through the tears. "I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be like this. I just can't control it sometimes. When I drink, I become him. I become my dad." I sat down next to him, put my arm around him. "It's okay. I know you don't mean it." He used to scream at my mom like that, and then he'd cry and apologize, and she'd forgive him, over and over, until one day she couldn't take it anymore. "What happened?" I asked. "She left him, told him she was done." That's when he moved in with his mistress full time. That's when he stopped even pretending to care about us. Jake leaned into me. "I'm so scared I'm going to lose you the same way. I'm scared you'll leave, and I'll be alone like I was when my dad left." "I'm not going anywhere," I said, even though part of me wanted to run. "Promise?" "Promise." But I broke that promise 3 weeks later, because by late August I couldn't take it anymore. Jake got drunk one night and completely lost it. He screamed at me for 2 hours straight. He punched a hole in his wall. He got in my face and I thought he was going to hit me. I left, and the next day I broke up with him. He cried. He begged me to stay. He promised he'd change, he'd stop drinking, he'd get help. But I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. I was exhausted, scared, broken down. So I ended it. And I tried to move on. That was early September. Now it's November. I thought I was over it. I thought I was healing. I thought I was moving forward. Until today. I was in class, bored out of my mind. My friend Sarah was sitting next to me, equally bored. "Let's stalk people," Sarah said, pulling up her school Chromebook. "Who?" I asked. "I don't know. Random people, exes, whatever." We started looking up people we knew. Old friends, people from other grades, whatever. Then, for some reason, I decided to look up Jake's name. I typed it in. A bunch of random stuff came up. Facebook profiles, Instagram accounts, nothing interesting. But one link kept showing up. It was about a court case. Some guy with Jake's last name. I didn't think much of it at first. It's not an uncommon last name. Probably just a coincidence. But I was bored. So I clicked it. The page loaded. It was an article about a criminal case from 2007. The first thing I noticed was the address. The article listed the defendant's address. It was Jake's address, the house I'd been to dozens of times. My heart started beating faster. I read the article, and with each sentence, my stomach dropped further. The defendant's name was Robert, Jake's dad's name. Robert had been convicted in 2007, the same year Jake was born. He'd been sentenced to 25 years for conspiracy to commit murder. I read it again, then again, making sure I was reading it right. Jake's dad had planned to murder someone, the guy who raped his daughter, Jake's sister. Jake's dad had been convicted and sentenced in 2007, which meant Jake's dad had been in prison for Jake's entire life. I felt like I couldn't breathe. "Are you okay?" Sarah asked. "You look like you're going to throw up." "I need to do more research," I said. I started searching everything. Court records, news articles, anything I could find, and it all confirmed the same thing. Jake's dad had been in prison since before Jake was born. He'd never lived with Jake, never raised him, never was part of his daily life, which meant everything Jake told me was a lie. His dad didn't beat him. His dad wasn't there to beat him. His dad didn't cheat on his mom with a mistress he lived with. His dad was in prison. His dad didn't abuse him growing up. His dad was locked up his entire childhood. Every story Jake told me, every tear he cried, every time he used his dad as an excuse for his drinking, for his anger, for his violence, all of it was a lie. I felt sick, actually physically sick. "Emma, seriously? What's wrong?" Sarah asked. I showed her the articles, explained what Jake had told me versus what was actually true. Sarah's eyes got huge. "Holy shit, that's insane. I don't understand," I said. "Why would he lie about that? Why would he make up all those stories?" "I don't know. That's really messed up." I couldn't focus for the rest of the day. My mind was spinning. How could someone lie about that? How could Jake sit there and cry in my arms about abuse that never happened? How could he use a fake trauma to excuse his real behavior? When I got home, I did more research. I needed to know everything. I found out more details. Jake's dad really had planned to kill the guy who raped his daughter. He'd talked about it with someone else. They'd made plans. They'd gotten caught. So Jake's uncle, the one Jake mentioned, probably was pissed about the rape. That part might have been true. But everything else? The abuse? The cheating? The violence Jake claimed to have witnessed? All lies. I thought about all the times Jake had told me those stories. How he'd cry and shake. How I'd comfort him. I thought about how he'd blamed his drinking on his dad's abuse. How he'd blamed his anger on seeing his dad hit his mom. None of it was real. I started thinking about other things Jake had told me. Were those lies too? How much of what I knew about him was actually true? Then I remembered something that made my blood run cold. Jake had told the same stories to his friends. I'd heard him tell them. About his abusive dad. About the trauma. All of it. So this wasn't just lying to me. This was a whole fake backstory he'd created for himself. That's not normal. That's not just someone hiding an embarrassing truth. That's something else. Something deeper. Something wrong. I understand not wanting to tell people your dad is in prison. I get that. That's embarrassing. That's hard to talk about. But making up an entire fake childhood? Creating detailed stories about abuse that never happened? Crying over events that didn't exist? That's not just lying. That's something more. Something scarier. I thought about Jake's violence, his anger, the way he'd get when he was drunk. He'd always blamed it on his dad, on the abuse he witnessed, on the trauma. But if that trauma was fake, then what was the real reason? What was actually making him that way? And if he could lie about something that big, what else had he lied about? I felt like my entire relationship had been with a stranger, like I never actually knew Jake at all. The person I dated, the person I cared about, the person I tried to help and understand, that person didn't exist. I'd been dating a character, a made-up version of someone. And the real Jake? I had no idea who that was. I wanted to confront him. Part of me wanted to text him and say, "I know you lied about everything, but I was scared. Jake had threatened me before. If you ever fuck me over, I'll make you pay. What would he consider this? Would finding out his lies count as fucking him over? And now that I knew he was capable of creating an entire fake past and crying over it convincingly, I didn't know what else he was capable of. When he was just an angry alcoholic with a traumatic past, I understood him. It made sense. It was sad, but it was understandable. But now he was an angry alcoholic who lied about having a traumatic past, who created detailed fake memories, who manipulated people's emotions with false stories. That was different. That was scarier. I didn't know what to do. Should I tell him I know? Should I tell his friends? Should I tell his mom? Part of me wanted everyone to know what he did, how he lied, how he manipulated people. But another part of me was terrified of what he'd do if he found out I knew. I remembered the look in his eyes when he said he'd make me pay, the coldness in his voice. What if he actually did something? What if he came after me? I know that sounds dramatic, but I've seen what Jake is like when he's angry, and that was when he was supposedly dealing with trauma. Now that I know there was no trauma, I don't know what his anger actually is. I don't know what he's actually capable of. I thought about texting his mom, asking her about Jake's dad, trying to understand what actually happened. But is that weird? We're not together anymore. Why would I be reaching out to his mom? And what would I even say? Hey, I know your husband is in prison and Jake lied about it. That seems cruel. Plus, if Jake found out I contacted his mom, he'd definitely consider that fucking him over. I felt trapped. I had this information that was eating at me, but I couldn't do anything with it without potentially putting myself in danger. I talked to Sarah about it the next day at school. You should tell someone, she said. This is really messed up. People should know. But what if he does something? He literally threatened me. Then tell the police about the threat. And say what? My ex said he'd make me pay if I fucked him over? They're not going to do anything about that. Sarah frowned. This is really scary, Em. I know. Do you think he'd actually hurt you? I thought about it. I don't know. When we were together, I thought the violence was because of his trauma. But now I know that trauma was fake, so I don't know what the violence actually is. I don't know what he's actually capable of. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about everything. All the times Jake cried in my arms. All the times I comforted him. All the times I forgave his behavior because I felt bad for what he'd been through. I felt so stupid, so manipulated, so used. He'd used fake trauma to excuse real abuse. He'd used my empathy against me. Every time he got violent and then cried about his dad, I'd stay. I'd forgive him. I'd think he can't help it, he's been through so much. But it was all calculated, all fake, all manipulation. How long had he been planning this? Did he make up the story about his dad before we dated? Or did he create it specifically to manipulate me? And the thing about his sister being raped, was that even true? Or was that another lie? I felt like I was going insane, like I couldn't trust anything I thought I knew. I started questioning everything else in my life too. How did I know anyone was telling me the truth? How did I know my friends were real? How did I know anyone was who they said they were? If Jake could lie that convincingly, anyone could. I felt paranoid, scared, like the whole world was fake and I was the only one who didn't know it. My mom noticed I was acting weird. Are you okay? She asked one night at dinner. Yeah, I'm fine. You seem upset about something. I wanted to tell her, but I didn't know how to explain it, how to make her understand why this was so messed up. Just stressed about school, I said. She didn't look convinced, but she didn't push it. I kept researching Jake's dad. I don't know why. Maybe I was hoping to find something that would make it make sense. I found the full court documents, the details of the case. It was all public record. Jake's dad really had planned to kill the guy who raped his daughter. He'd talked about it with someone else. They'd made plans, they'd gotten caught. In a way, I understood it. Your daughter gets raped, you want revenge. It's wrong, but it's understandable. But Jake's dad went to prison for it. He lost his freedom, his family, his life. And Jake grew up without a father because of it. That's sad. That's really sad. That's something worth being messed up about. So why didn't Jake just tell the truth? Why make up the abuse story instead? Was he ashamed his dad was in prison? Did he think people would judge him? But people would understand. Your dad trying to avenge your sister's rape is a lot more sympathetic than your dad beating you. So why lie? Unless the rape story was fake too. Unless none of it was true. I didn't want to think that. I didn't want to believe someone would lie about their sister being raped. But if Jake could lie about being abused, what else could he lie about? I felt sick again. A week passed. I didn't reach out to Jake. I didn't tell anyone else besides Sarah. I just tried to go on with my life. Pretend everything was normal. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. In class, I'd zone out thinking about Jake's lies. At home, I'd lie in bed and replay all our conversations in my head. How many times had he lied to me? About other things, not just his dad? Had he actually known Douche? Or was that a lie too? Had he actually been planning to kill Douche? Or was that just him trying to seem protective and tough? Was anything about him real? I started having nightmares. In them, Jake would show up at my house. Sometimes he'd just stand outside my window, watching. Sometimes he'd break in. I'd wake up sweating, my heart racing. I know they were just dreams, but they felt real. Because the threat felt real. Jake had threatened me, and now I knew he was a liar who could fake emotions convincingly. What else was he capable of? My friends started noticing I was acting weird. Not just Sarah, but others too. "You've been really quiet lately," my friend Mia said at lunch one day. "I'm just tired," I said. "Is this about Jake?" "No, I'm over that." "You sure? Because you seem really stressed." "I'm fine." But I wasn't fine. I felt like I was losing my mind. I couldn't trust my own judgment anymore. I'd been completely fooled by Jake. Completely manipulated. What if I was being fooled by other people too? What if everyone was lying and I just couldn't tell? I know that sounds paranoid. I know that's not rational. But when someone tricks you that completely, it messes with your head. It makes you question everything. I'm 17 years old. I'm supposed to be worried about college applications and prom dates and normal teenage stuff. Instead, I'm having what feels like a midlife crisis over my ex-boyfriend's lies. I feel like I've aged 10 years in the last few weeks. Like I've lost some innocence I can't get back. I used to believe people, used to take them at their word, used to think that if someone was crying and vulnerable, they were being genuine. Now I don't know what to believe. Jake showed me that people can fake anything, that tears don't mean truth, that vulnerability can be a manipulation tactic. And I hate that I learned that. I hate that I can't unlearn it. I wish I never looked up his name. I wish I never found those articles. Because as messed up as my relationship with Jake was, at least I understood it. At least it made sense. An angry alcoholic with trauma? Sad, but understandable. An angry alcoholic who faked trauma? Scary and confusing. I don't know what to do with this information. I don't know how to move forward. 2 weeks after I found out, something happened. I was at the mall with Sarah and Mia. We were just walking around, trying to have a normal Saturday afternoon. And then I saw him. Jake. He was with some friends, walking toward us. He hadn't seen me yet. My heart immediately started racing. "We need to leave," I said. "What? Why? Jake's here." But it was too late. He'd seen me. Our eyes met, and for a second, everything stopped. He started walking toward me. Let's go," Sarah said, but I couldn't move. Jake reached us. "Hey," he said. "Hey, can we talk?" Every instinct said no. But I heard myself say, "Okay." We moved a few feet away from our friends. "I miss you," Jake said. I didn't respond. "I've been sober for 3 weeks. I want another chance." I looked at him, trying to see who he really was. "I don't think that's a good idea." His expression changed, got harder. "Why not?" "Because we're not good together." "Is there someone else?" "No, I just need to move on." Jake stared at me, and I saw something cold in his eyes. "Fine, your loss." He walked away. I stood there shaking. That night I realized I couldn't keep carrying this alone. The next Monday, I went to see the school counselor. Mrs. Rodriguez listened to everything. The relationship, the abuse, the lies, the threats. When I finished, she said, "I'm glad you came to talk to me. I don't know what to do. First, we document this. Second, we involve your parents." My stomach dropped. "My parents? They need to know so they can help keep you safe." She called my mom. My mom came to the school immediately. "Why didn't you tell me?" my mom asked, hugging me. "I didn't want to worry you. We talked for over an hour, made a plan." My mom would contact Jake's mom, Mrs. Rodriguez would document everything. I would avoid Jake completely. It felt good to have help, to not be alone with this anymore. That evening, my mom called Jake's mom. The conversation lasted almost 30 minutes. When she hung up, my mom looked drained. She was shocked, my mom said. She had no idea about the lies. She promised to talk to him and get him help. Over the next few days, I heard through friends that Jake got in trouble with his mom, that she confronted him about lying, that he had a complete breakdown when she showed him proof his dad had been in prison his whole life. Part of me felt bad, but a bigger part didn't. He'd lied for months, manipulated me, used fake trauma to excuse real abuse. If he was breaking down now, that was his problem. A week later, I got a text from Jake's mom. "Hi Emma, this is Jake's mom. Thank you for telling your mom everything. I had no idea Jake was telling those stories. We're getting him professional help now. I'm so sorry for what he put you through." I showed my mom. She said I didn't have to respond. I didn't. That chapter was closed. I started seeing my own therapist. Dr. Chen helped me understand what happened. What Jake did is called factitious victimization, she explained. When someone invents trauma to gain sympathy and control, is it a mental illness? It can be connected to various disorders. But here's what's important. It wasn't your fault that you believed him. You were compassionate. Jake exploited that. That helped, knowing it wasn't because I was stupid. Over the next few weeks, I started feeling better. Slowly, gradually. I stopped jumping at sounds. Stopped checking over my shoulder. Stopped having nightmares. School became easier. I could focus again. Laugh with friends. Think about the future. But the trust issues stayed. When Mia told me about her problems, I wondered if she was telling the truth. When a guy asked me out, I wondered what he was lying about. I hate that I think this way now. Dr. Chen says it'll get better with time, that I'm healing even if it doesn't feel like it. I hope she's right. It's been almost 2 months now since I found out. I heard Jake switch schools. His mom thought a fresh start would help. I'm glad. It makes me feel safer. Sarah asked if I'd date again. Eventually, I said, but not for a while. I need to figure myself out first. My mom has been amazing, checking on me without smothering me. I'm proud of you, she said last night. For getting out, for asking for help, for healing. That made me feel good. Like something positive came from this. I learned that love shouldn't hurt. That explaining away bad behavior is just enabling abuse. I learned I deserve better. Someone honest who treats me well. I learned it's okay to walk away. That staying doesn't make you loyal, just hurt. And I learned healing takes time. That it's not linear. Some days I'm fine, other days I'm back at the beginning. But I'm getting there. I'm 17. I've been through something most people don't experience until they're older. My ex lied about his entire childhood, created fake trauma, used it to excuse real abuse. It broke something in me. My ability to trust easily, my innocence about how cruel people can be. But it also taught me I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive hard things, that I can ask for help. I don't know what my next relationship will be like, if I'll fully trust someone again, but I know I'll be more careful, more aware, more willing to walk away if something feels wrong. Jake took a lot from me. 8 months, my security, my easy trust. But he didn't break me. I'm still here, still moving forward, still healing. And that's something. Sarah asked yesterday if I regret dating Jake. I don't know, I said. Part of me wishes I never met him. But another part thinks maybe I needed these lessons. How so? What if I hadn't dated him now? What if I dated someone like him later? When I'm older? When the stakes are higher? I never thought of it that way. At least I learn now. At least I know red flags. At least I know I can survive this. You're going to be okay, Em. Really okay. I hope she's right. Because right now, at 17, I feel like I'm having that midlife crisis I joked about. I feel older than I should, more cynical, but I also feel wiser, more aware, more in tune with my worth. My ex lied about his whole childhood, created an elaborate fake past to manipulate me. When I found out, it shattered my understanding of trust and truth. But I survived. I got help. I'm healing. Jake didn't break me. He tried, but he didn't succeed. I'm still standing, still moving forward. And someday, I'll trust again. Maybe not easily, maybe not quickly, but I will. Because I refuse to let his lies define the rest of my life. I refuse to let fear win. I'm 17, and I'm going to be okay. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday. And that's enough.